practice in Michigan, Texas,
Hi,
Atlanta,
I'm retired Judge
Michigan.
Vonda Evans, owner of Vonda's Law. And I am attorney Carla Bearable, a practicing criminal defense attorney in the state of Michigan. And together, we are the Legal Divas of Michigan.
What do you think? Let's jump into it. P. Diddy, what do you think?
The prosecution got something for P. Diddy. So I think that the prosecution that went through their case, they're trying to get their strongest, the strongest evidence, reinforcing that. From reading something that they are still charging him with attempted kidnapping and arson, but they're not using it as the underlying predicate felonies for the RICO. So the prosecution, they're going through their case, and they're trying to make it stronger for closing, because everything in any case, everything is in closing, because closing is where the prosecution or defense give their theory of the case, give their defenses. And my understanding is that each side is going to get a 4-hour closing tomorrow.
4 hours.
4 hours.
Now, as a retired judge, let me just tell you what is a jury, okay? Well, we know that they're the trier of facts and they're the judges. But what you have to do when you're doing a jury trial is attempting to teach lay people everything you've learned about law, everything, in a couple weeks, a couple days. It comes down to closing. It comes down to saying, what is it that you believe the evidence has shown? Many times it may be something you forgot. You didn't remember. This is their opportunity to zone in it. But the judge is going to instruct them that closing statements are not evidence. They're only what each side believes has been shown. But at this point in time, what they've done is, and you're correct, they streamlined it a little bit. They're not saying we're not charging him, but we're not using it as a predicate felony.
Correct.
Think of a predicate felony with RICO as this. They're not using it as the cake, and then the icing are the other charges. It's on a separate menu, okay? It's like a la carte. But they're still charging him with racketeering, which is racketeering, influence, corruption, organization act, sex trafficking, the racketeering with transportation to engage in prostitution, and some other cases, but those are not the predicate. So what they're going to do is they're going to hone right in my opinion, and they're going to talk about the sex trafficking. But you got a unique position on this. You're saying that you believe they're not proving that. Why?
I don't believe that they're proving their case. Diddy, I think that consent is going to be a major issue. I think that their defense attorneys are going to come in with the text messages and the emails and say that Cassie and Jane consented to a lot of this activity. And therefore, it wasn't sex trafficking. It was a lifestyle. And you can't, lifestyle is not illegal.
So, consent. Consent is what?
That you agree to participate in it.
And so so if a person consents to something, it's not a crime, basically.
It's not a crime.
Okay. And so what you're saying is that they're saying that their position will be, this is the lifestyle she chose.
They're gonna say that Diddy, he had many lovers. He's a rich man. He consented to it. He never forced them to do anything. It was never urgent or nothing that they consented to to the lifestyle.
Okay. And so because they consent, you believe that it's just a lifestyle, not a crime.
That's
And I think that what they're going to do off rep, and I think I've seen attorneys like yourself, you talk about it. Hey, this may not be something that you're into. It may not be something may not to the loom. You may not be into the astroglide, but that doesn't make it a crime. One thing I see and I want you to talk about it. When you talk about something so much, it desensitizes that. What does that mean?
one of the things that his defense attorneys did from the very beginning is just put it out there. The bill was coming in, all of that was coming in. You just put it out there that by the end of the trial, you just be like, it's no longer a big deal. It's no longer a issue. And one of the things that his lawyers have done, and they've done a pretty good job on this, is that this was his lifestyle. He's a billionaire. He can do this. This is the lifestyle that he chose. And they chose it because they wanted the trappings that went with it.
Now, one of the things I remember a lawyer talking about Rodney King, they would stop the steal, stop it, start it, stop. So after a while, it didn't have that effect.
Right.
It became more like evidence opposed to something that evoked passion. So what you're going, but let's talk about that. How do you get past the video of the
He's not charged with domestic violence. One of the things that the government did was domestic violence is not a federal crime. When you look at the video, that's domestic violence. That's assault and battery. You may even get attempted murder out of it, but you don't get racketeering out of it. That's the problem. And, the feds do it and the state do it. Sometimes you can charge a person wrong. And when you charge a person wrong, if the jury really looks at the law and they look at those elements, they have to find them not guilty.
about that. So you're saying that it's salacious. It's like, wow, this man is just off his bonkers, but it's not a crime. They ought to charge it.
They didn't charge him. And the statute of limitation has ran.
Okay. So the fact that they're bringing it in just goes to show kind of like a motive. This is how he got out.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
I think that they brought it in to make him look bad, to make the jury think of him as a bad guy. But I think that if his defense lawyers really just push that, oh, he is a bad guy. You are correct about that. You wouldn't want him to date your wife, your sister, anybody. But this is not a federal crime. He's charged with racketeering. He's not charged with assault and battery or domestic violence.
Let me ask this. Did it hurt the defense or help the prosecution or hurt the prosecution, help the defense, excusing the black juror and replacing him the white juror. What do you think?
So, one of the things is that everybody doesn't think the same.
Okay.
And I think that when you think that you think the same, or all white people think the same, you're you're doing an injustice. I wasn't there for jury selection, but what I do think is the black man that was dismissed was Diddy H. So he would have grew up in the same type of mm, era that Diddy grew up with. He's a black man, and Diddy is a cultural icon with us. So I think that it probably did hurt because it was somebody that probably could relate to Diddy. They're around the same age. They grew up in the same time period. Diddy before all of this happened was in the community. So I do think.
But let me ask this question. Do you think that, and you represented people, doctors, lawyers, reverends,